तत्परं पर्याय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ओम योग महर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरी गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम योगाचारिणी पुदुवै कलैमामणि पुदुवै शक्ति अम्मा जी मीनाक्षी देवी भवनानी गुरु माता की जय। ओम वेलकम, स्वागतम, bonjour, buongiorno, ayubowan, Huya More, Boreida, Salamat Pagi. Welcome to today's session, the 74th session of our Scintillating Saturdays, and such a pleasure to be with each and every one of you from so many parts of the globe in the same place, at the same time, for the same purpose. Today's topic is Japa. A topic that's very close to my heart because it reminds us that if we have the steadiness of effort, if we have the continuity of effort, if we have the stickability of effort, one day we are going to make it. Just as the water drops falling on the stone, not once, not twice, but again and again and again. And the drop falling, drop, 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 drop over the years eats into that stone, and actually the stone gives way to the water. The river flowing down the hills creates the valley. The shorelines of so many countries establish and re-establish in our consciousness the power of the repeated effort that is needed for success to occur. Satu dhirgakala nairantarya satkara asebhito dridabhumi, says Maharishi Patanjali when he talks of abhyasa. And japa is one of the best examples of that abhyasa. It has to be for a long time, dhirgakala. It has to be nairantarya, without break. It has to be with a higher purpose, satkara, and based on a firm foundation. So what is this japa? Japa is the repeated utterance. The repeated utterance is japa. You say, yeah, I repeat a lot of things. Well, that becomes your japa. If you keep on telling yourself, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good, that becomes your japa. If you keep on saying, I can, that becomes your japa. If you keep on saying, pain, 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 well, you're going to get loads of pain. Whereas if you say, healing, health, 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 you know what's going to manifest. And this is where even in the modern healthcare system, we need to refocus on salutogenesis, health, that state of swasth, where everything is in balance and we are in a state of ease. Many people's japa is money, 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 money. The modern japa. Me, 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 me. That empowers the abhinivesha klesha that wants to survive at any cost. To hell with everybody else as long as I survive. And that's the modern japa. Well, the Indian culture of Sanatana Dharma, the timeless culture from which yoga has sprouted and continues to grow. That culture tells us that there are different methods of japa. So what are these methods of japa? They say, well, you can choose a mantra. Now when we say mantra, the mantra is a sacred formula. Now not every sound doesn't become a mantra. A mantra is a sacred formula that enables us to manipulate our limited consciousness to expand our consciousness into the universal consciousness. So mantra, man is the mind. So the tool that enables us to manipulate our consciousness through self-effort, the lower consciousness, in order to produce a ripple effect, enabling us to grow into the higher consciousness. So when a mantra is selected, it could be a single bija mantra, Om, Hrum, the bijas of the chakras, Lang, Vang, Rang, Yang, Hang, Ang, Ong. All of these are bija mantras. They could be selected. You could also choose a more expanded form of mantra. For example, the Panchakshara mantra for Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. It becomes the Panchakshara Japa. And anybody who's been connected with us for many years knows that on Shivaratri, Amma has always so beautifully led that Panchakshara Japa. There's a recording online that you can also access of that beautiful chanting led by Ammaji at Kambli Swami Madam, where on that holy night of Shiva, Mahashivaratri, we chant the Panchakshara Japa as a Japa pattern. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. It could be the Shadakshara, that is Sharavana Bhava. Om Sharavana Bhavaya Namaha. Om Sharavana Bhavaya Namaha. Or just Om Sharavana Bhava, Sharavana Bhava, Sharavana Bhava. 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 Om. Or it could be Om Namo Narayanaya, the Ashtakshara, the 8-syllable japa. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. All of these are beautiful methodologies for us to chant and create a rhythm. Japa implies a beautiful rhythm is created. Just as the water drops are creating a rhythm as they drop. And what beautiful stalagmites and stalactites you can find in all those caves. The effect of that repeated flow. As I said, the coastlines, the beautiful coastlines of so many countries are an evidence of the japa of nature. What beautiful power nature has, and we are endowed with a capacity to choose japa. It is a positive choice. So here, when we are performing japa, there are the manifestations of japa. One is, as I have been doing now, the Vaikhari. Vaikhari means the expressed, audible methodology, sometimes also called Vachika. So Vaikhari is where I am chanting, you are hearing me. So you are listening to me and you can hear what I am saying. In the Buddhist tradition, they have the Om Mani Padme Hum. It is a beautiful japa. Now I said it, you can hear it. Vaikhari, Vachika, is expressed through the Vak, the Vachaha. Now, if you go into it a bit more, there is another method of chanting which is Manasika. Manasika is very deep in the mind. So one is you can express it and you can listen to me, you can hear me. You know I'm chanting because I'm going, Om, 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 Om. So you're hearing it, you know it's happening. But now inside my mind, I'm chanting something. You have no idea what I'm chanting. That is Manasika. In between, there is something called Upamshu. Upamshu. This Upamshu japa is the japa which is not audible to others externally, but audible to you. But it is not yet Manasika japa. What a beautiful state. So you have the Vachika, the Vaikari, where you are expressing and others can hear you and they know you are chanting. There is the other way, you are sitting quietly, you are making the sound. You are still making the sound, but now it is an internal sound. So from the external, you have moved internally here. There is the Vaikari, now the Upamshu. And then you go deeper. Because with practice, you go deeper into that Manasika, where you are chanting mentally. Now there is no use of the vocal apparatus anymore. It is totally at the mental level. It is the deepest level. So when we are looking at this, these can also be understood as an expression of the gross embodiment. Sthula Sharira, where at the level of the Sthula Sharira, Annamaya Kosha, we are expressing through Vaikari, Vachika, Japa. Then you come to the Sukshma Sharira, which encompasses Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And there you have the Upamshu. You are going into that subtle aspect of the Japa. So you had the gross level of Japa. You are coming into the subtle level of Japa, which is now Upamshu. And there you are tapping into the Sukshma Sharira, Pranamaya, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya Koshas. But then you want to go into the Karana Sharira, Linga Sharira, that causal aspect of our embodiment, causal embodiment, which is connected to the Anandamaya Kosha, and that is where we come into the Manasika Japa. From the Vaikari Japa, Om Namo Narayanaya, or Om Namah Shivaya, Om, or it could be a full mantra. Om Bhuvasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om, and then you continue that. Or Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugundhim Pushti Vardhanam Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat. And then you continue. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe. And what you are doing is the whole mantra becomes a mantra japa. So it could be a bija mantra japa. It could be a short formula. Shadakshara, Panchakshara, Ashtakshara japa, or it could be a full mantra japa also being done. For example, when we do our typical havans, homa, yajnas, as part of the chanting for the ahuti, we do many rounds of the whole mantra. Mahamrityunjaya japa, when we do it for the Mahamrityunjaya homa. Or you would do the Ganapati japa, Om Ganganapataye Namaha. So it becomes a component. Om Ganganapataye Namaha, as suggested so beautifully in the Ganesha Atharva Sirsha, where there is a beautiful expansion of how the mantra potentiation occurs. That how that gang, wow, even as I say it, I have goosebumps. That gang Ganapataye. It's not just Ganapataye, gang Ganapataye, where you are awakening that energy of beautiful Ganapati in you. Yes, of course, Brahmanandji. What happens is that through this, we are going into the Anahata, from the Ahata Nada to the Anahata Nada. And as I say it, I have a beautiful sprinkling of the divine heavens. It's bright and sunny, but there's a bit of drizzle coming down. Let's see. This is a blessing. What a beautiful blessing. From the Ahata Nada is the created sound. You move to the Anahata Nada, which is the sound that exists beyond creation. From the manifest to the unmanifest. This whole process is helping us to move from expressed sound to sound that is beyond expression. That is the subtlety of the journey. What beautiful scientists our rishis were, who gave us these technologies in day-to-day life. This is why Indian culture is a living culture. Yoga is a living tradition. It is still evolving because it is living. It's not dead to be studied. It is living, and so it has to be experienced, not studied. What a beautiful blessing this divine drizzle is today. Wow. Coming back, that Ganganapataye, the Atharva Sirsha tells us, the Ganesha Atharva Sirsha, it says, you start with the letter Ga. The letter Ga has to be potentiated. I've talked about this when we have talked of the Bija. That potentiation of Ga into the Gam, and then the Gam has to become potentiated by the Bindu to move above Bindu Uttara Rupam. It has to go above Bindu Uttara Rupam. Then the Nada Sandhanam occurs. Bindu Uttara Rupam Nada Sandhanam. That is where that occurs. Om Gakara Purva Rupam. Gakara Purva Rupam. Akaro Madhyama Rupam. Ga plus A. Anusvaras Chanta Rupam. Ga plus A plus Ga, Ig plus A plus Gam, potentiated Gang, Bindu-Rutta-Rupam. So even in that, you have to understand how it's potentiated. Gakara Purva Rupam, Akaro Madhyama Rupam, Anusvaras Chanta Rupam, Bindu-Rutta-Rupam, Nada Sandhanam. This is how that whole process goes. And when you repeat it again and again, Om Ganganapadaye Namaha, Om Ganganapadaye Namaha, Vaikari, Vachika. Now it is Upamshu. I'm chanting it, but you cannot hear it. And then it goes deep in, and it is just vibrating, the ripple effect. So your expressed japa creates an unexpressed ripple. So the ripple effect is how you move from the gross to the subtle, from the stula to the karana through the sukshma. Vaikari, Upamshu, Manasika. Ahata, Anahata. This is how it's moving. And then, before all of this, there is the grossest of the gross level of japa, which is Likita japa. You write it down. And many people here, they fill pages and pages and pages of Shri Ramajayam, Shri Ramajayam, Shri Ramajayam. That is the Likita japa. They want to make 1 billion Ramajayams written down in their notebook, and they'll fill notebooks. They write it down and then they go and put it around the deities. All of these are happening. And this is an expression where you first write it down at the grossest level, because the written word is the grossest level of expression. And that is why Indian tradition was never written down. It was an oral tradition. It was a subtle tradition. And that is why yoga has the subtle tradition of yoga, the oral tradition of yoga, and then the lowest form, the grossest form is the written tradition of yoga, which everybody is caught up with today. We have forgotten the oral tradition and the subtle traditions. Such an important aspect of our growth. You write it down. Through the writing, you start to express yourself externally. You then chant it. Express yourself externally. Then start to mutter it in an inaudible form. It starts to go inward, subtle. And then it becomes part of your mental process. It becomes part of your mental process. This is how you learn anything. How do you learn cycling? How do you learn car driving? How do you learn biomechanics? How do you learn medicine? How do you learn engineering? Anything you learn, you first do the external and then you move internally until it becomes a skill that becomes part and parcel of your nature. It becomes second nature, or rather it becomes your first nature. And this is how this process occurs. You don't stop at one. Every level is to take you on that journey, an experiential journey inward. Going inward, upwards and forward. Inward, forward, upward. That is the beautiful journey that is occurring. It's an internal journey. This is where the power of japa. Japa is that pearls put onto a necklace. The Rudrakshas put onto their form. Your every component of the japa, every unit becomes part of the wholesomeness. So japa is where you are utilizing the individual component to create the wholesome experience. You don't stop with the individual experience. You create the wholesome universal experience. Each bit. And that is why often the malas are used as they do the japa. Not just to keep track of the number. Now you have a modern one. The latest one is an electronic one, will help you keep track of your japa in case you forget the numbers. The numbers were given to give us, we like goal setting. So they said, do in rounds of 9, 18, 27. Then 27 becomes 54. 54 becomes 108. And you grow like this up to that beautiful number 1008. These are the ways you grow through it. And the japa, because you are constantly remembering to remember. Japa is part of Ammaji's beautiful statement. Remember to remember. That is part of japa. Keep on reminding yourself, what is the purpose of human existence? Not just to make money, have a bigger house, have a bigger car, more wives, more kids, a better Facebook profile with millions of followers. No, that's not the purpose. That's the candy man. That's the popcorn man. What is the main show? The main show is Kaivalya. The main show is liberation out of all of this. All of this that actually is unreal. The process of japa is very beautiful. Because it's a process that is there, given to us by the mantra drishtas, the rishis who could perceive the mantras. They heard them, Shruti. These were not created. Modern times people create mantras. These were perceived by the high capacity, the cosmic intelligence. And Maharishi Patanjali, he talks about japa. He talks about japa. When he talks about the pranava, he says that pranava, which is the vibration of Ishvara itself, he says that pranava should be chanted as a japa. Tad japaha, which the pranava, om, that pranava should be chanted as a japa. Tad japaha tadartha bhavanam, understanding the meaning and with feeling. So when you do japa, you should know what you are chanting, but you should also feel what you are chanting. You are connecting the head and the heart. You are creating a beautiful connection. The other day Sangeeta was saying how, the vocal apparatus connects the head and the heart like a funnel. What a beautiful way to perceive it. The head and the heart, tadartha bhavanam, you should understand the meaning of what you are chanting and you should chant it with feeling. Not just an intellectual experience, not just an emotional experience, but an emotionally intelligent experience. Emotional intelligence, EQ, which is so popular these days. That is what is being fostered by the japa. Emotional intelligence, intelligent emotions, not split either the head or the heart. I am torn between my head and heart. Well, reconnect them, reunite that broken family with japa. repeated efforts made at the gross, subtle, and causal layers of existence, connecting the head and the heart. And this is why it is so beautiful that modern research tells us the same thing. Tells us the same thing. Luciano Bernardi, that amazing man in Italy, who's connected to the Finnish University. His excellent work in breathing. He has a beautiful paper, beautiful heart. I met him some years ago at Kaivaladama. What a beautiful heart he has. Really was blown away by the simplicity and humility of that great man. Luciano Bernardi. Google him. Amazing work on pranayama, breathing, and mantra japa. He did an amazing work on japa. And he chose what they called a yoga mantra. It was actually Om Mani Padme Hum. That was the actual mantra. They call it a yoga mantra. When you read the full paper, you understand it. And they used the Ave Maria, the beautiful version given by Sangeeta the other day. Ave Maria. That's in the Aum. Beautifully, you can find that commonality in all these cultures, all the traditional cultures. What beautiful continuity was there. In modern times, we split everything up into pieces and then we feel, why don't I have peace? Because you have split everything into pieces. Put them back together, be wholesome, and peace starts to manifest on its own. You don't have to search for it. You just have to do what you need to do and peace will come on its own accord. You don't have to go and have war for peace. And that's the biggest scam in history. You go to war for the sake of peace. And it's never going to happen, okay? You put the pieces together, peace will occur. In that research, he and his team compared Ave Maria with Om Mani Padme Hum. And what they found is when you do this repeated chanting, you start to create a beautiful sense of rhythm in the heart. That is found in what is called heart rate variability. You improve the power of the heart to connect to the breathing. And long ago, more than 100 plus years ago, Mayer and others, Traube, who was other? Hillman and Mayer. Mayer is actually how it's supposed to say, Mayer. You know that these scientists, they did work and they found how there are oscillations, natural oscillations in your blood pressure. Now, when you breathe, your heart rate changes, sinus arrhythmia. But when you breathe, your blood pressure is also constantly responding to the breathing. And these oscillations, they found and they reported them. The Mayer rhythms, we used to call them Mayer because it's written as M-A-Y-E-R but pronounced as Mayer. The Mayer rhythms are 6 per minute. So they are 10-second cycles. And this is why whenever you start to breathe at the rate of 6 per minute, you start to harmonize with these natural biorhythms that are there. 6 per minute. These are called ultradian rhythms. Circadian, infradian, ultradian. It's an ultradian rhythm. Like the nasal cycle, anything shorter than 24 hours is called ultradian. These are rhythms that are going on, 10-second patterns. That bird is doing its own japa. He's saying, Dr. Ananda, you don't know what you're talking about. Here I'm giving you the best example. Pakshi Japa, bird Japa. What a beautiful example. Nature has given me this beautiful drizzle as a blessing today. The bird doing japa with me. Oh my God, how blessed I am, how blessed I am. These biorhythms, 10-second patterns, 6 per minute. And what they found is that these natural rhythms, the Maya rhythms, Traube Herring Maya rhythms. So these were 3 scientists actually. Maya was a student of the other guy. And they found these things. What you're doing is when you start to chant in this japa pattern, when you start to chant in the japa pattern, what is happening? You are harmonizing the heart rate response to the breathing. And the cardiac autonomic rhythms are being brought into their normalcy. Because the cardiac rhythm, what is a better example of japa than your heartbeat? Lub-dub, 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 lub-dub. It is a japa of the heart. And that is why through that lub-dub, by contemplating that heart center, the anahata, you start to try to tune into the anahata nath. The breathing, what a beautiful methodology. Every time you breathe in, the divine universe coming in, the saha coming in. Every time we breathe out, the individuality, aham being given up. The breathing is a type of japa. The japa of the breath, the japa of the heart. There is a beautiful regularity, rhythmicity. These are the biorhythms. Chronobiology it is called today, where we try to understand how our biorhythms are in tune with the universe in which we live. All of this is attuning ourselves as an individual to the universe in which we live to create a sense of ease and unitiveness, oneness. Rather than I am the only one. No. We are part of the whole, the wholesome experience. And this is why the beautiful work by Bernardi has again shown this. Some other work by Dr. Kalyani and Gangadhar at NIMHANS, the National Institute for Mental Health in Bangalore, where the Om Japa, chanting the Om, starts to attenuate your limbic activity. The limbic system, which is all this emotional volatility that is brought out, all the amygdala stuff. What is happening is that when you chant the Om, you are starting to attenuate the emotionality of the limbic system. You deactivate the limbic overactivity. You start to balance the limbic system by Om Japa. And this is the same thing Maharishi Patanjali has said. He says that tadartha tad japaha tadartha bhavanam. He had said that japa should be done with meaning and feeling, intelligence and emotion. And then the next line, pratyak chedanadi gamaha api antaraya abhavascha. The antarayas, which are the internal obstacles, vyadi sthana samshaya pramada alasya abhirati bhranti darshana alabdha bhumikatva anavasti tatvani chitta vikshepate antaraya. All these antarayas, the navantaraya, 9 antarayas, and their sahabhuvaha, dukkha dhavarmanasya angame, dukkha dhavarmanasya shwasa prashwasa, angame jayatva shwasa prashwasa. Dukkha dhavarmanasya angame jayatva shwasa prashwasaha vikshepa sahabhuvaha. They are the companions. So 9 plus 3, 13 obstacles. Where are these obstacles? Internal. Antaraya, chitta vikshepa. The chitta vikshepa, antaraya, internal obstacles. How does Patanjali tell us to attenuate them? He says by that japa. By the japa. Because tadak pratyak chedana. When your lower consciousness starts to focus on the japa, you expand into the unlimited universal divine consciousness. And at that moment, all these obstacles, they will fade away. Bhava is to manifest. Abhava means they will fade away. They will diminish. Because you have grown in consciousness through japa. Tadat pratyak chedanadi. Your pratyaya is the cognitive flow that you are choosing. That is why japa is again a choice. The japa that occurs without a choice becomes ajapa. Like the breathing. You don't think about the breathing. You don't think about the heart. It's a type of ajapa japa. It is happening as a japa, but you're not at the level of consciousness. These are subliminal impressions that are going on. They will influence you. Subliminal impressions, subliminal sensory inputs will influence you, but they are not in your consciousness. When we come into japa, at that point, what is happening? You are making that choice. And you are going from gross to subtle. And that is why you are utilizing the lower consciousness. What do you have in your control? What is your scope of practice? The lower consciousness, the soma. And you are trying to influence the psyche. Somato-psychic methodologies of yoga. I say the mechanisms of yoga, all forms of yoga are somato-psychic. You use what you have, the lower, to influence the higher. You move from the lower to the higher. That is the growth pattern that is occurring. That is the process that is occurring. And that process that is occurring is potentiated when we choose japa. We are choosing japa. And so pratyak chetana cheta adigamaha. You are going into that highest level of consciousness. And api and antaraya, all these obstacles that are self-created, abhavascha. So the flow there is when he talks about the pranava, he then says it should be done in a japa. Tad japaha tadartha bhavanam. And then he says, tata pratyak chedanadigamah api antaraya abhavascha. This is how that flow occurs. So the power of japa brought out by Maharishi Patanjali. Let it be done understanding the meaning and the feeling. Let it be done as an uninterrupted, repeated, continuous flow, done with intent for the highest, satkara, and let it be based on firm foundation. Now, when we talk about mantra japa, normally we say the student should receive it as an upadesha, as an initiation. And as a diksha, it should be given. As an upadesha, it should be given. Now in modern times, everything is on the net. Every artist worth their salt has created albums with and all that which cringe-worthy mantra japas that you can hear by all these modern artists who think India is a market and Indian music and Indian chants are a good market to go into. I'll never forget the guy who chanted a shloka for Devi and claimed it was for Shiva and claimed he had been 7 years in Kashi learning Indian music. I think he was stoned for the whole 7 years. I don't think he was learning anything about India. You cannot be 7 years in India, in Kashi, and not know the difference between a chant for Shiva and Shakti, okay? It's just not possible. You are here physically but not mentally. Maybe that's what happened. It is true that the Guru should give the mantra diksha. At the same time, this is not a power, it is not a power system. Because what we realize is that the reason they had these safety mechanisms, was to protect the teachings. It was not that, the Guru will always be the Guru and the Shishya will always be the Shishya. Because the real Guru always wants the Shishya to become a Guru onto themselves and others. That is the Guru Shishya Parampara. It's a living tradition. It doesn't stop, because if the Guru stops with only having students, the tradition has died. The Guru stopping with having only students, the tradition has died. A living tradition, the student becomes a guru and then they start to spread the teachings and it flows. Just as the water flows, just like a japa. Every guru creating a student, the student creating a guru, that guru creating a student, the student becoming the guru, the student becoming the guru, the student becoming the guru, the student becoming the guru. This is so important. That is a type of japa that keeps the living tradition alive. You don't stop it by saying, I am the final guru and from now on there will only be students. That's organized religion, okay? And that's what yoga has become today. Stop with the guru and everybody else is a student. No. See, the Shishya will always have love for the guru. But the Shishya should then manifest the teachings by becoming a guru onto themselves and onto others. And that is where there has to be this sharing. There has to be that continuity that is so important for a living tradition to grow. And that is why the guru understands the Shishya. The Guru-Shishya, the Guru-Chela relationship is based on love and understanding, not power, not hierarchy. That is the modern wrong narrative, a false narrative created by people who are studying yoga as if it is a dead subject. It is not at all that. A Guru-Chela, a Guru-Shishya relationship is based on love, it is based on understanding, and it's based on a symbiotic growth that is on mutual sides. And so the Guru understands what is the mantra the student needs to take them forward, and shares the mantra at the appropriate time, not when the student wants it. I have had people come up to me and said, Doctor sir, you are my Guru, give me a mantra. I'm like, first, there are two mistakes there. I'm not a Guru, first of all. Second one is, you don't get a mantra diksha by just coming and saying, give me a mantra. It has to occur at the right time. There is an appropriate time for diksha to occur. It cannot be grabbed. I paid you $500, give me diksha. That is business. That is consumerism. That is not a tradition. When the student is ready, at the appropriate moment, that diksha will be given. It will happen. The Guru doesn't even have to say, oh, today we are going to sit and give diksha. No, that can also be there. But it could be while you are driving with your Guru in the car. It could be while you are eating a pizza with your Guru in Milan. It could be while you are washing clothes standing next to each other in the ashram. It could be while you are out immersing the Shivalingam after Mahashivaratri into the ocean. It could be any moment. Those eureka moments can come anytime. And at that appropriate moment, the Guru Tattva. The Guru is not an individual. That's why anyone who says, I am the Guru, you are only the manifestation of the Guru Tattva. The Guru Tattva is eternal, timeless, supreme. When we have the Guru Stotra, we are talking of the Guru Tattva, not an individual. The individual is only the representative. The individual is only the manifestation. The Tattva is supreme. When we say the Guru is supreme, it's the Tattva, not that human being. And that is why human beings will have fallacies. Human beings will have feet of clay. But the Guru Tattva doesn't have fallacies. The Guru Tattva doesn't have feet of clay. It is pure divinity. Through japa, we move from the gross, through the subtle to the causal. We start to find that rhythm that lies within us, that rhythm of the universe that comes through us in our biorhythms. We start to harmonize, attune our biorhythms physically, physiologically, mentally, psychically, spiritually with the cosmos. And in that process, we grow into that wholesomeness of the experience. Each and every one of us can be considered a component of that japa of humanity itself. When we all start to resonate together, when we all start to move together, we start to harmonize humanity. And at that time, the wholesomeness of humanity can manifest. Sounds a bit utopian, but why not? Why not? When we can do so many other things, why can we not come together and become a beautiful japa of humanity itself? I close here today with these thoughts, and we'll have a separate session on Dhyanam. Ramanathanji, Apu, we'll have a separate session on Dhyanam, because Dhyanam is one of those topics which is, I think it may need a few sessions. Thank you so much for being with me. Always my gratitude to everyone who comes into my life and those who go out of my life. Those who like me, those who dislike me, well, Everyone plays a part in my growth towards whatever I need to be in this lifetime. As we grow, everything that is coming into our life is for our growth and our growth alone. Be it positive, be it negative, be it neutral, the good, bad, ugly, well, it's all for the sake of our growth into that consciousness which is Purusha Ishvara. May our drop become the ocean. Be blessed wherever you are and be a blessing wherever you are. Hari Om Tat Sat.